Hi, my name is Jim Thomason. I've been with CMS since 2005 in November as a purchasing agent. My most popular commodities that schools will actually direct their requisitions to for me are travel related purchases, field trips, workshops and conferences, and catering and grocery store purchases. Now for my other departments that I work with, I also buy vehicle parts and fluids, school nutrition, food and supplies, and food equipment. So if you need anything like food for concession sales, give me a shout. And I also forgot, I'll also buy flags, so that's a real big commodity for me. I'm just kidding. Well, now that we had introductions out of the way, I want to let you know that we really miss seeing you this year, but hopefully this method of getting the information to you will be more convenient to your schedule as well as protecting your health. In this recording, we'll be touching on some of the same topics as last year. Some things have changed. On the things that haven't changed, hopefully this will give a refresher for you and a eureka moment for those who haven't been able to attend previous sessions. Last year, it looked like we were going to lose Food Lion for our sole remaining grocery store chain that would take our PO, but thank goodness this turned out to be a false alarm. Food Lion currently will continue to allow us to charge to a purchase order as long as we have in the past. Schools using their Fund 11 account could possibly use other grocers if they can determine the exact cost of the purchase and pay by school check at the time they pick up the groceries. It'd be best probably to check with the store manager to confirm that they actually are okay to doing that and how best to handle that process. In Mecklenburg County, our taxes for the county for prepared food are 8.25%, and prepared food would include foods like deli supplies from Food Lion, restaurants food, and any catering that you'd have done. For regular grocery store, like non-food items in the grocery store that you'd buy, such as paper goods, and I also found out that candy and sodas are considered non-foods. Those are taxed at 7.25%. And any other real foods that they're on, like the shelf items, are 2%. Now I realize it's going to be probably a while before we actually do CMS allows travel again, but most events now are being held virtually, which is, by the way, killing. It's really saving us a ton of money from what it normally would be for travel-related expenses. When and if CMS returns to pre-COVID travel, the following information should allow your requisition to transition to a purchase order quicker. On your Lawson requisition entry form, I suspect the taxable status must default to Y for yes, meaning it is taxable. Airfare, bus charters, and tours using charter buses are non-taxable. On your Lawson requisition entry form, go to the Miscellaneous tab, and on the taxable drop-down, select N for non-taxable. This will save us about 8 steps per line, 8 clicks on the mouse per line the purchasing agent would have to change on your purchase order. On hotels, to ensure that your requisitions actually obtain monetary approval covering the 13 to 16% hospitality taxes that most hotels charge, please include all the taxes and fees and the unit cost in your requisition line for the room. Be sure to change the taxable status on your requisition to non-taxable. If you were simply to put the room rate on the requisition line and leave the tax status at the default taxable, you'll be short about half the taxes you need to cover the total fees on the hotel confirmation. The default tax setting for Mecklenburg County is 7.25% for our purchase orders. As you know, when services are taxed, they are taxed at the rate where the service is provided. Say you were going to pay for tickets at Riverbanks Zoo in Columbia, South Carolina, the sales tax obviously is South Carolina and should be included on the total amount that you have on your requisition line, and then select no for no North Carolina sales tax. There will be occasions when it makes more sense for us to actually email the purchase order directly to you as opposed to emailing to the vendor. In that situation, if you look at this email will be actually what you actually receive. See the arrow there? That arrow is pointing to a hyperlink, and when you click it, that actually tells us that you received, basically you're confirming that the purchase order was received by you. If you do not put that, if you don't click that, then what happens is that your name gets on a report and there's a purchase order there, and we have to work the report in order to clear up that you actually did receive that, to confirm that ourselves. Please use the comments to print on purchase order folder for information that the vendor should see to correctly supply you with goods or services that you are buying. This will save the purchasing agent about 12 mouse clicks drilling around in Lawson compared to when the information appears on the comments to print on requisition. Procurement emails completed purchase orders to the default email address on file for each vendor. If you're working with a specific person at the organization you're buying from, if you would list that email address and the person's contact name, and we'll do our best to get that changed in the system and make sure that email gets directly, the purchase order gets emailed directly to them. Also in the comments to print on purchase order folder, please note that anything over 13 lines or so will cause all the comments to print on the second page, as in this example here. And I've had since the first page looks mostly blank, I've had a few customers or a few vendors actually call me up and say, "Well, you sent me a blank purchase order. What to do here?" They don't realize they can scroll down on the PDF. So if it exceeds 13 lines or so, if you would take about half those lines and put them on the comments to print on purchase order, and then the balance of those lines to put them on the comments to print on purchase orders as trailer comments. Now, there ought to be a way to shorten that whole phrase, but I guess not. Did you know the words that you put up there in the title block don't transfer to the purchase order itself? So I've seen people put quote numbers in there, or don't forget to do so-and-so, or something like that. But when it comes to the purchase order, all they see is the stuff is down and below in the text section. So make sure, I mean, if you want to put it both places, that's fine, but make sure that anything that's really critical to the purchase order that the vendor needs to see goes in the comments to print on purchase order text box. On the purchase from location drop-down menu, if a purchase from location code without the E prefix exists for the vendor you're trying to select, please use that number. We do realize there'll be times when there is no other choice other than the E prefix location. This E prefix actually means that the vendor will be selected to send the PO to e-procurement. Now, we no longer use e-procurement in CMS, so there's a lot of redundant numbers in the system. So if you have an option not to use that, use the one that doesn't have the E prefix in it. And as a final reminder, don't forget that budget has suggested, well, actually told you to go ahead and use the soft dollar process for service requisitions, service contracts. This means putting the total pre-tax dollar amount in the quantity column in the quantity field, and putting a 1 in the unit cost, and in the unit of measurement put the dollar symbol on that as well. This actually allows it to have multiple releases or multiple receipts against those, multiple payments against that purchase order, and without actually closing it out every time that the first receipt's made on it and first payment's made on it. For regular goods purchases, please use the standard process where you itemize each individual item. So don't use soft dollar process for purchase of goods. Don't hesitate to call us or email us if you have any questions. I know there's always something that comes up that if we don't know the answer, we always try to redirect you to who we think might have that answer. And we hope that you have a great 2021 school year. And I also wanted to thank you for all the excellent work and hard work I know that you do in the school. Thank you again.